I don't know how to make a good intro for these videos, but I'm doing another one. I want to put everyone on game for some go-to games to keep on your radar. We got 16 more to talk about today, and they all look fire. We got horror games, we got dark fantasy, we even got pixelated indie games. So let's just drop right into it. Halloween is a multiplayer game where you can play as Michael Myers or someone trying to survive Michael Myers. Don't give me too much for not remembering their names. I haven't watched the Halloween movies in years. The only one I remember is Laurie Strode. The game is extremely similar to the Friday the 13th game, and that's for good reason. They're both made by the same studio. That game was so much fun, so having the same type of game based off the Halloween franchise is a great idea. If you're able to do the same goofy as you could in Friday the 13th, then it's gonna be fire. Without a doubt. And hopefully the Halloween game won't suffer the same fate as the Friday the 13th game. If it does, I'ma fucking lose it. Blight Survival is a PvE action horror game set in the medieval period. It's a medieval zombie game. What more could you ask for? Not that much is known about the game from what I know. The devs haven't shown a lot of what it's about or what they're working on, but we do have a few little tidbits. The zombie outbreak spreads in the no man's land between two kingdoms that are at war with each other, and you can play with 3 other people. Insomniac's Wolverine is finally on the menu. After years of getting nothing from them, and everyone being worried that it might have gotten cancelled after the massive leak that showed off everything they were working on, and I mean everything, and since they canceled the Spider-Verse multiplayer game after the leak, they had a decent reason to wonder if the same happened with the Wolverine game, but it thankfully didn't. We've finally gotten an official look at the game, and while I don't have much, it looks pretty good so far. It looks like what I'd want from a Wolverine game. Insomniac made one of the most perfect Spider-Man games with their first Spider-Man game. I don't know about the second one though. It seems kinda underwhelming. And that Adidas suit is genuinely the worst fucking Spider-Man suit to ever exist. I don't see them doing that for Wolverine though, so I think we're good. Enenra Daemon Core looks like the spiritual successor to Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. The combat looks insane and extremely fluid so far. You're able to do some really clean shit from what I've seen. The premise of the game though, is that you're a member of the mercenary company, Denshi Corp, as a Daemon Core hunter, which are basically superhumans. You're also one of these from what it sounds like, so you'll be able to pull off some crazy stuff. YapYap is yet another friend swap game. Unlike all the asset flip cash grabs, this one actually looks fun and interesting. You play as wizards breaking into a castle and ransacking it. It's a lot like Repo and Lethal Company, except instead of finding stuff to collect and sell, you just break everything valuable. You get spells that you can activate through voice commands. And there's a piss spell. Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core is a spin-off game to Deep Rock Galactic. Who would have guessed? Unlike Deep Rock Survivor, Rogue Core plays like the original game. The only difference is, it's a roguelike. Your job is to go deeper and deeper, getting new equipment and upgrading it, and fighting off enemies until you get to the deepest level. I Nima is a game where you have to convince your mom that you're her daughter. You do this by combining words together to get new ones to use. It's a pretty interesting way to do something like this, and the art style is great. I love the use of colors and shadows that they've got going on. The UI is also pretty good too. This one doesn't have a set release date yet, but it has a demo, so if you want to try it out, you can play that to see if it's your thing or not. It was a horror game being made by the same studio that made Atomic Heart. We don't have much to go off of this one right now besides the trailer. You've got zombies, flesh monstrosities, heavily armored soldiers with arm cannons, and you can kick evil toddlers. This is my type of game. I think it might be set in the same universe as Atomic Heart. Don't quote me on that though, because I'm not sure. VA Proxy is one you definitely know about. It's the parry nuke game. Of course you know it. I'm still gonna talk about it though. The game takes place in a post-apocalyptic world inside a megastructure. Weapons of mass destruction wake back up, which cause shit to start happening again. This game has some insane combat. It's really fast-paced and challenging. There's a demo out right now that you can play, and let me tell you, there's already so much to this game that makes me hyped to play the full game. I genuinely can't wait for this game to come out. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a release date, but that's okay. I don't want a half-ass version of this game. Unrecord is the original body cam shooter. You play as a police officer trying to solve a case like a detective, but you're a lot more involved, since you're playing a police officer sent to the situations instead of like a crime scene detective or something. It's a tactical shooter that's all in the perspective of your body cam footage. The game's gonna have a pretty intense story from what it sounds like. and I can't wait to see more about it. No release date for it yet though. Neverway is a very strange looking RPG, with it switching between life sim mechanics that you'd find in Animal Crossing and fighting monsters like any other action RPG. It looks fucking amazing. Just like I Nima, I absolutely love the way they use colors. And the pixel art is extremely detailed, which makes sense, since it's the same pixel art as Celeste. The soundtrack is also being made by Disasterpiece, the person who made the Hyperlight Drifter soundtrack, which means it's going to have a good soundtrack. This game looks really interesting, and I can't wait for it to come out. It comes out at some point next year. Phantom Blade Zero is a game I fell in love with the moment I saw it. It's an action RPG with some crazy combat and even crazier bosses. The combat looks like any other action RPG, but flashier, which means it's going to have some amazing combat. I don't know what China's been feeding their game studios lately, but they've been insane when it comes to gaming recently, and Phantom Blade Zero is no different, it looks like. Tower of Tears is a PS1 style horror game. It's got more of an Earthbound, Animal Crossing aesthetic to it, but it's a 3D Metroidvania. You play as Tyr, who's the new Tower Keeper. That's about all I can really tell you about it. If you want to see more on it, you can check out Xena Spectrale's socials, where they've been posting little snippets of the game. That's actually how I found out about the game in the first place. Tenjutsu is a 2D martial arts beat 'em up that's also a roguelike. Your goal is to stop 4 crime syndicates from having control over the city. This game looks pretty good. Gameplay wise, it reminds me of one of those old beat 'em up arcade games, mixed with a tinge of Enter the Gungeon. Maybe that's because of the animations, or I'm just an idiot. It also clearly takes inspiration from martial arts movies for sure. You're actually able to play the original concept of it, and in an early build before it was changed to a roguelike on the developer's website, if you want to see what it might feel like playing. But a lot of it could have been changed to be a lot better, which would make sense, since the game's had a lot more work put into it since those 2 builds. There's not a release date yet for this one either. Covenant is an FPS Souls-like made by Legion Studio, which is made up of developers from Bungie, Activision, EA, 343, id, just about every major FPS company. And you can see a lot of that influence from what we've been shown. The game itself though looks insane. The environments are beautiful, the combat looks fluid, the weapons are unique, and just like every Souls-like, the enemies and bosses look like a challenge and spectacle to fight. This is one I'm pretty hyped for, and I'm praying it's as good as it looks. No release date yet, cause they need to cook. Tenebyss is a dark fantasy roguelike, inspired by both Dark Souls and Risk of Rain. 2 of the best things ever conceived. It's not going to be a typical roguelike though, since you keep the items you find even after you fail a run. Does that make it still a roguelike? I'm not too sure. What I do know is that this game's going to be fire. The combat looks clean, the visuals are nice, and you can gamble. What more do you need in a game? Sex. Add sex. If you want to follow the development of this game, the creator has a TikTok account that you can check out. And we're at the end again. Hopefully you found some games that you thought were cool enough to look out for. If you didn't, oh, that sucks. Give me a pity subscribe for wasting your time. Tell me in the comments any other upcoming games to look out for. If you want to know more, go watch the other one I made. Anyways, like and subscribe. I've got one more of these bad boys planned, so stay tuned for that. I really can't think of a good way to end these.